Okay, let's unpack this. If you spent any time online around the start of 2025, you probably saw them.
Oh, yeah.
Those absolutely bizarre, like totally absurd AI-generated videos.
Mm-hmm. The ones with the weird, glitchy characters.
Exactly. And, random Italian phrases popping up everywhere.
And that music, that relentless, high-energy electronic soundtrack.
Yes, they were visually and sonically pretty jarring, clearly designed to grab your attention fast.
And they worked. They were everywhere.
They really blew up. So today, we're doing a deep dive into a source that analyzes this whole thing, this phenomenon that, online communities quickly called Italian brain rot.
Catchy name.
Right. And this analysis looks at what the trend actually is, how incredibly massive it became, and maybe most fascinatingly, it digs into this pretty wild theory circulating about its real origins.
Yeah, it really gets to the heart of that debate. Was this just, the internet being its usual weird, spontaneous self?
Or is there something potentially more intentional behind it all?
Exactly.
Right. So our mission here is to take you through this analysis. We're going to pull out the key details so you understand the Italian brain rot trend, grasp just how viral it really went.
Which was, spoiler, incredibly viral.
Yeah. And then we'll explore this compelling discussion, this debate about whether it was organic or maybe, just maybe, a deliberate, uncredited campaign. We're going to explore this analysis piece by piece for you.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start by just painting a picture of the trend itself based on what the analysis says. Like you mentioned, it really exploded onto the scene early 2025.
Right.
And the defining characteristics were consistently these, bizarre, often kind of poorly rendered AI characters.
Yeah, definitely glitchy sometimes.
Yeah.
And that signature sprinkle of Italian phrases, right? Sometimes they didn't even make sense.
Not always, no. Combined with that specific dynamic electronic music, it was like a very distinct recipe for digital weirdness.
For sure. And one character in particular became almost the face of the trend, didn't it?
Trallalero Tralala, yes. The analysis highlights this character, specifically noting its description as a shark.
A shark, yeah.
Wearing very distinctive blue sneakers from a very well-known sports brand.
Ah, yes, those blue sneakers. That detail becomes pretty central later, doesn't it?
It really does. And this whole visual and audio signature became instantly recognizable, across tons of platforms.
Which platforms did the analysis mention? I mean, I saw it everywhere.
Yeah, it points out significant traction on TikTok, obviously, but also Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Reddit.
Okay.
And even spreading on places like Telegram and Discord.
Wow, so really broad reach.
And the sheer scale of it, the virality. According to the data in the analysis, this is up to May 2025. It's almost hard to wrap your head around.
Hit me with the numbers.
The estimated total views and reach across all these platforms, 1.715 billion.
Billion, seriously. With a B.
With a B, not million, billion.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the breakdown shows TikTok was the huge driver, around 1.2 billion views there.
Okay, that makes sense for TikTok.
YouTube Shorts added about 150 million. Instagram Reels, maybe 300 million.
Still huge numbers.
Absolutely. Reddit contributed around 15 million, and then Telegram Discord channels accounted for an estimated 50 million combined.
Wow. So yeah, if you felt like these videos were just inescapable, popping up in every single feed.
You weren't imagining it.
These numbers from the analysis really confirm that. It wasn't some niche internet thing. It was genuinely massive, a multi-platform monster.
And it's really this immense scale combined with some very specific elements within the content itself that spark that central hypothesis the analysis talks about.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that because this is where it gets really interesting. The analysis focuses on this major question that just erupted in fan communities' online discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Could this whole Italian brain rot trend actually be some kind of clever native advertising campaign, potentially, orchestrated by a major sports brand.
Right. The sneaker brand, presumably.
Presumably. And the analysis, it lays out the circumstantial case that people online started building for this theory. Where does it start?
Well, it starts with the most obvious visual clue, right?
Right.
The main character, Trallalero Tralala, that shark, is almost always shown wearing those specific, easily identifiable blue sneakers from that particular sports brand.
Okay, that feels like more than just a random AI quirk, It's so consistent. A real-world product placement, basically.
And it absolutely became the starting point for all the speculation. Then you had people, online sleuths really, starting to dig deeper.
Right.
The analysis points out that this very same sports brand had an official marketing campaign back in 2024.
Okay, the year before.
Yeah, and it featured a character that was visually quite similar to the Brainrot shark.
Ah, so the brand already had a history of using characters in that kind of visual style. That's not random.
Doesn't seem random, no. And people also started looking at the creation side. How were these things being made? Some fans noticed similarities between specific sound fragments used in the Brainrot videos.
The music bits.
Yeah, and templates that were apparently available on the brand's own open online service, a platform they offer for content creation.
Wait, hold on. So potentially using the brand's own tools or assets to make these viral videos.
Yeah.
Wow. That feels pretty significant if it's true.
It definitely fueled the speculation. The analysis also highlights how the overall framing and editing style of many of these Brainrot videos, it resembled the brand's past experimental marketing content. It points to things like AR campaigns as examples of how this company is willing to, play with unconventional digital formats.
Okay, so they're known for trying weird stuff online.
Exactly. Which ties into another observation mentioned. Some of these videos, they didn't just look like pure chaotic AI randomness. They had a surprisingly directed or precise feel to them sometimes, which seems kind of counterintuitive for something nicknamed Brainrot, right?
Right. If it's just random AI messing up, why do some bits look almost like professionally composed?
Good question. And adding to the mystery, the analysis notes that the very first account, the one believed to have posted one of the first foundational videos for the trend.
Yeah. What about it?
It just disappeared shortly after posting. Vanished.
Okay, if you're thinking planned campaign, having a disposable account, launch it and just poof, disappear, that kind of fits the script perfectly, doesn't it?
It certainly adds to the intrigue. Another interesting point raised is about moderation.
How so?
Well, despite some of the videos containing potentially provocative or just plain weird content,
which they definitely did,
they weren't being blocked en masse by platform moderation systems, which you might expect for truly unfiltered, user-generated strangeness.
Almost like they weren't tripping the usual content flags. Or maybe had some kind of, protection. That's curious.
It is. And then consider the format itself. It's fast, it's dynamic, it's clearly aimed at a youthful audience. And it has that element of, anti-seriousness and absurdity. The analysis notes this aligns very well with previous youth-focused marketing styles adopted by this particular brand.
So it fits their target demographic and their communication strategy almost perfectly.
Spot on. And one last major point. The analysis highlights the sheer speed and synchronization of the trend spread.
What do you mean?
Well, very shortly after that first video appeared, dozens, maybe hundreds of other accounts started publishing strikingly similar content almost simultaneously.
All at once.
Pretty much. This synchronized burst feels less like slow, organic, viral growth and maybe more like something that might have been pre-prepared or coordinated somehow.
Wow, okay. When you list all those points together like that, the sneakers, the similar past characters, the potential use of brand templates, the experimental editing style, the too-directed feel, the vanishing original account, the moderation thing, the alignment with their youth strategy, and that synchronized launch.
Yeah.
It paints a pretty compelling circumstantial picture for the campaign theory.
It absolutely does. It makes you think. But, and this is really critical, we have to look at the other side. The analysis is careful to present the arguments against this hypothesis too. The reasons for skepticism.
Okay, what are they?
The most significant point, the biggest hole in the theory, is actually quite simple.
Yeah.
There is zero direct evidence linking the brand to this trend. None.
So, no leaked memo, no insider confirming it.
Nothing like that. They haven't put out a press release saying, yep, that was us. Genius, right?
Yeah.
The brand has maintained complete silence on the matter, offered no comments whatsoever. Now, while silence could theoretically be part of a stealth strategy,
yeah, maybe,
a total lack of confirmation, especially for something that got billions of views, is itself a pretty strong counter-argument.
You'd think if it was a successful campaign, they'd eventually want to, take credit for that incredible reach somehow, brag about it even.
You'd think so. Another point against it being an official brand campaign is the nature of some of the content itself. The analysis observes that some videos included things like religious imagery or made controversial remarks.
Right.
A large company typically avoids anything potentially controversial or divisive in its official marketing. It's usually about protecting the brand's reputation.
Yeah, corporations usually play it super safe in major campaigns, including like religious references or edgy commentary feels really off-brand for standard corporate marketing. Too risky.
Precisely. Furthermore, while some videos did appear polished, the analysis also notes that many of the videos feature rough errors, glitches, visual imperfections.
The AI weirdness.
Exactly. Stuff that's typical of rapid, sometimes sloppy AI generation. These kinds of obvious flaws are usually unacceptable and would be edited out in a professional, paid brand campaign.
Right. A brand wouldn't usually want their big campaign riddled with obvious AI glitches and mistakes. Doesn't look good.
Probably not. And the final argument against the campaign theory is really just the simplest explanation. Occam's razor, maybe, that the widespread appearance of these videos could just be the natural, chaotic outcome of spontaneous viral spread, amplified, of course, by easily accessible AI tools.
So just the internet being the internet.
Yeah. Once a weird format gains traction, countless users jump on the bandwagon, generate their own versions using similar tools, and it just explodes organically.
Yeah.
The massive scale, while super impressive, isn't impossible for truly viral user-generated content, especially these days.
Okay, so you have this like extensive list of observations that look like they point towards a campaign. The visual cues, the sneakers, the online behavioral patterns.
Right.
But then you have these major counter-arguments stacked against it.
Yeah.
Absolutely no direct proof, the brand staying completely silent, content choices that seem way too risky for a corporation, and the presence of all those AI errors. Plus, the simple fact that stuff just goes viral sometimes. It's a real puzzle.
It really is. And the analysis we're looking at, it does a good job of synthesizing this whole online debate. Its conclusion is pretty nuanced.
What does it land on?
It basically states that the Italian brainrot trend could either be a kind of social media myth, fueled by fan speculation, connecting dots that might or might not be there, or it could genuinely be a highly unconventional, maybe even brilliant, uncredited advertising campaign.
But critically, the analysis emphasizes there's no direct evidence. No smoking gun to definitively prove either theory.
Exactly. All the arguments we've just discussed, for and against, they're presented as assumptions, as interpretations derived from online fan observations and public discussions.
So the source isn't saying it was a campaign.
No, it's very clear on that. It doesn't confirm it was a campaign. It's reporting on the fascinating online discussion and presenting the arguments being made within that community. It reflects the debate.
Which brings us back to you listening to this. Why is this deep dive into, let's face it, a pretty weird internet trend relevant?
Well, because, based on this analysis, it really highlights the incredibly complex and often ambiguous nature of online culture today, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows how rapidly and how widely something can just spread across platforms.
Reaching billions, literally billions of views in just a matter of months, changing the digital landscape almost overnight.
It really underscores the growing challenge, I think, that we all face in figuring out the true origin or maybe the intention behind the content we see online.
Especially now, with AI tools making it so easy to generate both totally bizarre stuff and surprisingly polished media.
Yeah, it blurs the lines, doesn't it, between genuine user creativity and, well, potentially calculated marketing efforts that are designed to look organic.
It leaves you asking,
Right.
Was this just pure, unfiltered internet weirdness that happened to feature a popular product by chance?
Or was it a brilliant, uncredited marketing stunt, expertly playing on the appearance of organic virality?
It's a fascinating case study in, the modern digital era, where things aren't always what they seem.
Absolutely. So maybe to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on, building on that ambiguity presented in the analysis. Given how difficult it's becoming to tell if something online is truly spontaneous, viral content, or maybe a cleverly planned but uncredited campaign, what cues do you look for when you encounter a strange new trend online? How do you decide what feels real?